Hello, and welcome to Prince of Peace. I'm Amy, and these are your weekly video announcements. Parents' Morning Out and Parents' Night Out provide opportunities for parents and guardians to enjoy some time to themselves. Have a quiet cup of coffee, reconnect, or enjoy a grown-up meal while our trained and experienced childcare team cares for your children aged 6 weeks to 5th grade. Age-appropriate activities and snacks are provided. Parents may bring dinner for their children if needed. Get more details and register for specific dates on our website. Next weekend, we launch outdoor worship for the summer. That's right, bring on the lawn chairs, blankets, and sunglasses, and join us in worshiping outdoors. Outdoor worship kicks off on June 3rd and 4th for the 5:30 Saturday service and Sunday 10:30 service. The 9 o'clock service on Sunday will be held in the sanctuary. This is a great time to see friends, make some new ones, and to worship in our outdoor sanctuary. We hope to see you there. For more information about our ministry, ways to connect, or resources to download, please visit our website or check out any of our social media channels. We are so glad you are with us in worship. We truly believe that there is joy when we come together to worship our great God. So let's join in singing about that right now.
When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, oh, I won't be shaken, oh, I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. She no longer has a place to hide.
Isn't that great news? That nothing, not our fear, guilt, shame, or anger, stands a chance when we stand in the love of God that's been revealed in Jesus Christ. That changes everything. Now, friends, welcome to worship with Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in Burnsville, Minnesota. I'm Jeff Merriam, one of the pastors on staff, and I'm so glad that you've joined us for worship this Memorial Day weekend. We're going to take some time in our prayers today to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to preserve and to protect our freedom. We're in a worship series entitled Just Breathe. We've been talking about how we can build greater margin into our lives and how our lives can feel more expansive when we entrust our burdens to the one who promises to bear them. Now, I don't know about you, but few things constrict both my inner and outer world like anger. Anger that gets out of control or isn't dealt with in a healthy, skillful way. Today I want to proclaim some good news that can set us free from the kind of anger that can squeeze the life out of us so that we can just breathe. And I'll give you a hint up front. It's all about the grace of God active in our lives. A grace that takes the broken pieces of our lives and makes us whole. Let's sing about that grace right now.
Well, the standing spiritual invitation throughout this entire series, Just Breathe, is to be mindful of our breath. And so as a prelude to our prayer today, let us receive a breath from God. And so if you would, please get comfortable in your chair. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. And now with me, take a deep breath in. And then let it out. And then in. And out. Lord God, we thank you for breathing the breath of life into each of us. Would you help us to be mindful of that animating, life-giving, margin-creating gift you've given us? especially when we get caught up in the raging rivers and desolate deserts of our emotions. Gifts as they are, they can sweep us away or just leave us feeling parched. God, would you help us to breathe through all of these seasons? Seasons of sadness, joy, amusement, curiosity, and even anger. God, today we are mindful of our anger that burns hot, our anger that freezes us in place, our anger that tells us when we're in trouble, our anger that drives us to action. God, would you help us to honor this emotion, the gift that it is, but to also steward this emotion in our relationships with other people and in our relationship with ourselves so that it might be life-giving. God, would you forgive us of our unchecked anger, and would you free others from their anger towards us? God, all these things we lift up to you so that this world would look more like your kingdom. Now, God, we are also mindful of all the people who have been caught up in the brokenness of our world, our friends and loved ones who, in answering the call to service, have lost their lives. And so we pray that you would hold them in your memory and preserve them in your care today, and lead us to a day when we would experience no more fighting or anger or war. A day when your kingdom is all in all, God. Help us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Will your grace run out if I let you down? 'Cause all I know is how to run. 'Cause I am a sinner. If it's not one thing, it's another. Caught up in words, tangled in lies. You are a savior, and you take brokenness aside and make it beautiful, beautiful. Will you hold me just when I tell you lies? 'Cause all I know is how to cry. 'Cause I am a sinner. If it's not one thing, it's another. Caught up in words, tangled in lies. You are a savior when you take brokenness aside and make it beautiful, beautiful. You make it beautiful. You make it beautiful.
our story?
Yeah.
Hi, Pop Kids. Today we're talking about when we feel really angry, and Leaf and I have a book we'd love to share with you. Leaf, what's the title of our book? What's this?
Allie all along.
Allie All Along. That's right. So, this is a story about Allie and her big brother, and let's see what happens. Snap! Allie's crayon broke. Big brother says, I blinked. She was suddenly furious, fuming, frustrated, and so angry. Oh no. She stomped, smashed, crashed, and threw a tantrum, a fuss, and a fit. Now, Leaf, this isn't what Allie really looks like, is it? No, is this actually a picture of how Allie's feeling inside? Leaf, when we're feeling in the red zone, is it hard to control our bodies and our voices sometimes? Yeah, that's how Allie is feeling. Let's see what happens. Oh, her brother helped her move her body in a safe way to use up some of her angry energy. I like to run around my house, but she squished a pillow, and what did that do? Oh, look, that got the worst of the angry off. Is her color changing now? Do you think she's feeling better? Still, Allie was ferocious, fierce, and very angry. She is angry, isn't she? I asked her why, but she wouldn't say. So I told her to squeeze her favorite toy as tight as she could. He didn't mind. And after Allie squeezes her bunny, it looked like it helped a little. Look, she's changing color again. She's headed from the yellow zone toward the green zone with her feelings. That's awesome. But Allie was still irritable and angry. Maybe she didn't even know why. I feel that way too sometimes. She's still feeling upset, so Big Brother suggested, try to take a deep breath, but don't hold it too long. Pretend my fingers are candles, and you can blow them out. Can you help me, Leaf? Good job. Should we do it again? We're gonna blow them all out at once with one big breath. Good job. You blew out all the candles just like Allie. That seemed to help some more. And now I see her color is blue. How do we feel when we're in the blue zone?
Sad.
Yeah, maybe sad. Allie's now feeling a little sad. Let's see. Oh, she's feeling a little sad. I helped her count backward from, what's this number, 10 to
1.
to 1. And the rest of the angry fell away, and there she was. There's Allie. And now Allie's ready to talk with her brother, and she says,
Hug, please.
hug, please. What do you think? Could I have a hug? Oh, thank you, Nikki. Thank you. She's ready to ask brother for a hug. And brother says, I knew she was in there all along. So, Pop Kids, I learned a lot from this book about ways I can help myself feel better when I'm upset. But there's something else important I want to make sure you noticed. Did you notice how Big Brother was there with Allie all the way through her feelings and never made her feel bad about having those feelings? That's what God does for us too when we're angry. God is with us all the way through our feelings because she never stopped being Allie. She was Allie all along. And when we're upset, even really angry, we are still God's beloved children all the way through our feelings, all along. So I hope that can help you the next time you're feeling upset. What do you think, Leaf?
Yeah.
See you later, Pop Kids.
Alarm clock screaming, bare feet hit the floor. It's off to the races, everybody out the door. I'm feeling like I'm running behind. It's a crazy life. 90 miles an hour, going fast as I can, trying to push a little harder, trying to get the upper hand. So much to do in so little time. It's a crazy life. It's ready, set, go. It's another wild day when the stress is on the rise. In my heart I feel you say, just breathe, just breathe.
My father was born to Romanian parents, and while they were loving people, they were not emotionally demonstrative. They never raised their voices, they pretty much kept their feelings to themselves. My mother, on the other hand, was born to a Cuban father and a Scottish mother, and they had two modes, highly emotional and sound asleep. They fought with ferocious energy. So when my parents got married, they made an agreement. My mother did not want a marriage like her parents, and my father was just fine keeping his emotions in check. So as a child, I never saw my parents fight. Ever. Never even heard them raise their voices to one another. I don't think they were hiding things from me, it's just the way they operated. In fact, the first time I saw my parents angry with one another, I was well into my 20s, and I found it oddly amusing, which didn't go over particularly well with them. Now, while I'm profoundly grateful to have grown up with parents who genuinely loved one another, I also entered my own marriage completely unequipped for healthy conflict. When I'd feel anger, I'd stuff it. I'd become cold and distant until my smoldering anger finally died out, which my wife Nancy could tell you could take days. It took counseling and continues to require practice for me to handle my anger productively. Over the years, I've learned a lot about anger, including this. When we don't handle our anger well, it takes up a lot of room within us. It doesn't leave a lot of margin for things like peace and joy and love. And so today, let's learn together how the Spirit can help us to breathe through our anger. Now, to do that, let me start with a couple of the most important verses of Scripture I know when it comes to the subject of anger. These are from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians in chapter 4. Paul writes, "Be angry, but do not sin. Don't let the sun go down on your anger, for anger gives a foothold to the devil." Friends, if I had understood the first two words of that verse years ago, I could have saved myself a lot of headache and heartache. Be angry. In other words, feeling anger isn't a sin. It's a natural human emotion that we all experience, and it's okay to feel angry. But I grew up feeling guilty and ashamed if I felt anger. I didn't think my anger was ever justified, no matter what happened. But St. Paul gives us permission here. Be angry. But that permission also carries a caveat. But don't sin. In other words, feeling angry isn't the problem. It's what we do with our anger that matters. It's how we handle it. So, how do you tend to handle your anger? As I've worked through my own anger issues and helped others wrestle with theirs, I've observed a few common ways that people tend to deal with their anger. First, we stuff it. We swallow it. We either pretend that we're not angry when we really are, or we simply hold it inside. Do that often enough, and that emotional energy will come out sideways. High blood pressure, anxiety, depression, heart disease. Those are just a few of the ways that our anger manifests itself if we constantly stuff it. Second, we vent it. We just let it all out without any productive purpose. Could be a mean-spirited online comment or blasting a waiter or waitress if the service seems too slow. Venters are like fire-breathing dragons with hiccups. Everyone around them gets burned. Not only does venting tend to damage relationship, but research actually shows that it increases our negative mood. It doesn't make us feel better. So neither stuffing nor venting our anger is particularly helpful nor healthy ways to deal with anger. So here are a few better ways to consider. First, meditate on it. Do you ever feel angry but you're not exactly sure why? This used to happen to me a lot. I'd feel angry, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was that made me angry. In counseling, I learned that especially for men, anger is what's called a cover or a secondary emotion. That is, it covers over a deeper or seemingly less acceptable emotion. And for men, that's often fear or hurt. It's true for women too. Sitting prayerfully with our anger when it isn't clear why we're angry allows the Spirit to show us what's going on in our heart. And if it's really fear or hurt that we're experiencing, it's more productive to process those feelings than simply working out of our anger. Now, you may need to take a walk first before you can sit quietly with your anger. But once you settle down, sit quietly and invite the Holy Spirit to speak truth to you. Avoid the temptation to focus on blaming whatever or whoever provoked that anger within you. Instead, allow the Spirit to focus on you. Here's a second healthy way to deal with anger. Harness it. Anger is some serious emotional energy that can fuel needed action. Imagine that you see injustice in the world and it angers you. Well, harness that anger for action to right the wrong. Or imagine that you don't succeed at some endeavor that was really important to you and you're feeling angry with yourself about it. Well, harness that anger to double down on your effort. Remember the story of Jesus cleansing the temple? The gospel writers say that he overturned tables and chased people out of the temple courts. And as a kid, I remember thinking that Jesus was just having a temper tantrum. But in reality, Jesus was righting a wrong, restoring the temple back to a place of prayer. He harnessed his anger to act. Third, talk it out. Want to know how many issues have been resolved in my life through yelling, screaming, and blaming, and the liberal use of sarcasm? Exactly zero. In fact, those things always make the situation worse. And I'll bet the same thing has been true in your life. Perhaps the most productive thing we can do with our anger is to talk it out, either with a trusted friend or, when it's safe to do so, with the person with whom we're feeling anger. And don't wait for them to make the first move. Remember what Paul said, don't let the sun go down on your anger. And why? Because that allows bitterness to take root in our hearts. And here's something I've learned, mostly the hard way. When you go to talk your anger out, it is best to enter that conversation with as much curiosity as you can muster. Because if you're like me, you tend to walk into those conversations with all sorts of assumptions about why the other person did what they did or said what they said, rather than checking it out first. Not long ago, somebody contacted me to schedule an appointment. They said it was urgent, and so I juggled my schedule and canceled something I was really looking forward to in order to accommodate that person's schedule. And when the time for that appointment came, it didn't show up. Needless to say, I was angry. The story I told myself is that their need wasn't all that urgent after all, and so they just blew me off. Well, fortunately, before I said something I would later regret, I learned through a friend that this person had wanted to talk about their grief because their mother was dying, and in fact, died just a few hours before our scheduled appointment. My anger instantly dissolved and was replaced with a sense of compassion. Friends, the 8th commandment says, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." And when Martin Luther sought to explain the meaning of that commandment in the Small Catechism, he wrote these words: "We should fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, betray him or slander him, or hurt his reputation, but defend him, speak well of him," and here it is, "and explain everything in the kindest way." And we'll never know what their intentions were if we don't enter into those conversations with curiosity. Those are wise words from Martin Luther. Wise words when we have an opportunity to talk out our anger. And finally, if you just can't talk it out or it isn't safe to do so, just breathe. Let the practice of breathing deeply calm your spirit and invite the Spirit of God to fill you with the gift of forgiveness. You might even want to pray for the person or situation that angered you and let the Spirit do the kind of transformational work in you that only the Spirit can do. And while you're at it, ask the Spirit to continue to bear within you the fruit of love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those are the very tools we need in the toolbox of our heart to handle our anger well. And one more thing. There will be days when you blow this. There will be moments when your anger gets the best of you and you say and do things that you deeply regret, words and actions that only make the situation worse. Welcome to being human. And in those moments, remember that you are loved and forgiven. Remember that by God's grace, we are not defined by our failures. You are defined by the one who named you and claimed you in baptism, the God of new beginnings. So let me invite you into a breathing exercise that can help you breathe more deeply when you're struggling with feeling angry. Let's get comfortable in your seat right now. And as you breathe in, say to yourself, I breathe in your peace. And as you exhale, say to yourself, I breathe out my anger. Let's try it together. Breathe in, I breathe in your peace. And as we exhale, I breathe out my anger. Try that one more time. Breathe in deeply. I breathe in your peace. And as you exhale, I breathe out my anger. Next time you're angry, friends, just breathe the goodness of God.
All these pieces broken and scattered, in mercy gathered, mended and whole, empty-handed but not forsaken. I've been set free. I've been set free. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. You take our failure, you take our weakness, you set your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now
Every year around this time of year, families from Prince of Peace and some of their friends make their way to our annual Family Recharge weekend at Camp Wapo in Amory, Wisconsin. Now, it's a weekend that my family looks forward to every single year, especially my boys. Now, in the days of Swen Swenson, the highlight was a silly little Swen story. Nowadays, though, they can't wait to sing the No Dance Dance with Nathan Like, our Director of Children's Ministries. In any case, as a parent, it is such a good way to connect with new Prince of Peace families and families we've been walking with over the years, away from distractions, away from the cities. And here's the deal. Your generosity, your giving makes experiences like this and others possible for families. And so from my family to yours, thank you. You can share those gifts now by using the information on the screen.
Well, friends, thanks so much for worshiping with us today. I hope you're breathing just a bit easier, breathing in the peace of Christ, and breathing out any anger that keeps you from experiencing the fullness of life that Jesus promised. Now receive the sending blessing. Go in the peace of Christ that passes all understanding. Go in the healing and wholeness of the Holy Spirit. Go unhindered by anger that does not serve you. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.